And let's take a couple minutes to continue our study of the common birches found in the lower Great Lakes, parts of the Ohio Valley, and parts of the Appalachian Mountains. Today finds me in Delaware County, New York, which is about 120 miles northwest of New York City in the Catskill Mountains. We've got a nice clean mountain stream flowing towards us here, with some rocks exposed. And I'm on a higher gravel deposit here where the water wouldn't cover it very rarely. So this is not really a floodplain where I'm standing, but more of an old farm pasture. And one of the more common birches in this part of the country is called the paper birch. You don't have to worry about it confusing it too easily with four of the other five of the five birches I'm trying to record on this channel. And the only one you could confuse it with is the gray birch. The other three are different. And I do have 3 of the 5 birches that I am covering on this channel, growing right on this, really just some old farmland here. So they are plants that, this plant, the paper birch, is one that often comes in after the farming has ceased and the land is going back to forest. And this paper birch is certainly living up to its name. You can see the bark has curled up and is coming off in sheets like paper. And it is very white in color. It's got some blotches on it from the lichens and from some branches that have broke off that are not pure white, but it's a very white, light tree with peeling bark on the trunk here. It's about 8 inches in diameter, probably 40, 50 years old. So the yellow birch will often peel in this same fashion. And just so happens I've got one growing right here. So the color is different. It's more of a bronze color, a yellowish bronze color instead of the white color. And while I'm here, let's go take a look at a larger yellow birch. I've already done a clip on the yellow birch in the past. That was in Ohio. We do have yellow birch and black birch in Ohio, but and river birch, but we don't have the gray or the paper. So this is my chance while I'm on vacation here to add those to this channel. So here's some more yellow birch with that bronzish yellow bark. And it's curling up in a similar fashion to that paper birch. And just so happens I've got a black birch growing back here as well. So to get 3 of 5 in one little area is pretty good. But in this part of the country, that wouldn't be hard to do. They're very common trees around here. So here's our black birch, which is really more brown than black. It's almost an olive brown color. And they can get larger than this tree right here. This is about 1 foot in diameter. They can get a little bit bigger than that, but they usually don't get huge. And they do not have bark that curls. Sometimes it will form plates or chunks on the older trees, but it doesn't curl up and furl up like this yellow birch or the paper birch. So these are interesting trees. I did collect a little paper birch bark off a fallen log. And if you're ever in a wilderness situation and you need to start a fire, this paper birch bark or the yellow birch bark have an oil in the bark that smells like wintergreen, and I think it is the wintergreen oil that actually allows it to burn when wet. So, you know, you don't want to peel the bark off a live tree, but there's usually plenty of fallen trees nearby where you can peel off bark, and it will burn when wet if you have a lighter or a good match to start it with. So in a wilderness survival situation, this is a very helpful tree to know the identity of and the usefulness of. But yes, paper birch is very common in New England. It's common in New York. There's places it grows in Pennsylvania. It grows across Canada and across the central Great Lakes. Not all the way down to Lake Erie, but close to Lake Erie. And it's found across Canada and even down parts of the Rocky Mountains. So it's a common tree in a lot of areas, and in many of the areas covered by this channel, but not the actual Ohio Valley itself or the southern Appalachians. But this is the northern Appalachians here, and this is where you can find it commonly. The paper birch tree.